Hi students, now I am going to present a topic on minimum mode and maximum mode configuration of 8086 microprocessor. First, we are going to discuss about what is the difference between minimum mode and maximum mode configuration. So it is very simple. At first, in minimum mode configuration, the 8086 microprocessor is operated by strapping the pin, that is MN/MX pin, that is called as minimum/maximum pin, to logic 1. So here the logic 1 is nothing but as power supply. So when that pin is connected to the power supply of the microprocessor, it will act as minimum mode configuration. So as the name implies, minimum mode is nothing but as in this configuration it has only one processor, that is single microprocessor in the minimum mode system, and the control signals, all the control signals are given out by the microprocessor chip. That is called as minimum mode configuration. And coming to maximum mode configuration, the 86 microprocessor is connecting, that is what the pin minimum/maximum pin is connected to the ground, then it will act as maximum mode configuration. So maximum mode is nothing but as more than one processor, right? So in this maximum configuration, it has more than one processor. That is, the first is 8086 microprocessor. The second processor is called as bus controller 8288. So see, the processor derives the status signals S2, S1 and S0. So these three are called as status signals. So another chip called bus controller derives the control signals using this status information. So in maximum mode, there are two processors there. One is 86 microprocessor and another one is bus controller. So let us see the minimum mode configuration block diagram. And this is the block diagram of minimum mode configuration. And here first, the important component is 8086 microprocessor. You see the 8086 microprocessor. So the MN/MX pin, which is connected to the power supply, so it will act as minimum mode configuration. In this mode, all the control signals are given out by the microprocessor chip itself. There is a single microprocessor in the minimum mode system. So the remaining components are the latches, transceivers, clock generator, memory and IO devices. So first, latches. So latches are generally called as buffered output D-type flip-flops. It has some version like 74373, which shows in the diagram. The latches is present in the diagram. So the function of latches is used to separating the valid address from the multiplexed address data signals, and it is controlled by the ALE signal generated by 8086 microprocessor. So simply the latches are used to separate the valid addresses from the multiplexed address and data signals. So multiplexed address and data signals are nothing but as AD0 to AD15. So the diagram shows the input of latches are AD0 to AD15, right? So these latches are used to separate the addresses only. That is the main function. And next we are going to discuss about the transceiver. So the transceiver are called as the bidirectional buffers, and these bidirectional buffers are sometimes called as data amplifier. So this data amplifier which will separate the valid data from the multiplexed address and data signals, that is nothing but as D0 to D15. So basically 86 microprocessor is your 20-bit address bus and 16-bit data bus. So the transceiver which separate the valid data. So the input of the transceivers are two signals. The one is DEN, that is data enabled signal, so which indicates the valid data bus data is available on the bus. The second signal is DT/R, so data transmit and receive. So this signal is used to indicate the direction of the data. That is very important signal. So there are two. The transceiver can be controlled by two signals, DTR and DEN. And next, this system contains memory for the monitor and user program storage. So usually EEPROM are used for monitor storage and RAM for user program storage. And this system contain IO devices and then some signals like is here. See the output of the CS logic, which the input of this block is A0, that is address pin, and BHE, that is bus high enable, and the output of this chip selection logic gives some even address and odd address, that is CS suffix E, CS suffix O. So E stands for even address and O stands for odd address. The CS logic which gives some addresses, and here the Next is DMUX, that is demultiplexer. So these demultiplexer which gives some more signals, that is MRD, MWR, IORD and IOWR. So these signals for read and write operation for memory and input output devices. And the top block is nothing but a clock generator, that is 8284. This clock generator is used to generate the machine cycles, that is clock cycles. That is the main function of this clock generator. And other the RAM devices are there, and ROM devices are there, and IO devices are there. So this is the brief explanation about the block diagram, and it is also very simple. So coming to the timing diagram, so here these are the description of the pins which we are discussed in this block diagram, that is AD15 to AD0. There is nothing but as address and data buses. So both are multiplex, so it is called as time multiplex, memory, IO, address and data lines. And here BHE is a bus, high enabled signal. It is used to indicate the transfer of data over the higher order data bus. And S7 is nothing but as a status signal, and ALE is nothing but as address latch enabled. So this signal is used to indicate the availability of the valid address on the address data lines. And read signal, so read pin is a active low signal, and DEN is a data enabled signal, and DT/R is a data transmit and receive. So this pin which indicates the direction of the data, whether it is transmitting or receiving. Yes, and coming to the read cycle diagram, the first one is read cycle timing diagram. That is input operation. So first see the clock cycle T1, T2, T3 and TW and T4. Here the TW is nothing but as wait state. The wait state is inserted between the T3 and T4. So the wait state is also called as inactive state or idle state. The first signal is ALE, that is address latch enable. So see the clock cycle diagram. During T1 clock cycle, the address latch enable is valid, that is it is available. So here in T1 only the ALE signal is valid. After that the signal goes low condition, and see the address and status lines. So during T1 clock cycle the addresses are valid, that is A19 to A16, and during T2, T3 and T4 the status lines are valid, that is S3 to S7. And next is address/data. The same operation during T1 clock cycles the address lines are valid. So in the remaining clock cycles the data signals are valid, that is D15 to D0. And coming to the read signal, so read is basically it is a active low signal. So this signal indicates the peripherals that the processor is performing a memory or IO read operation. So this signal is active low from the middle of T2 clock cycle until the middle of T4 clock cycle. That is very important concept of read pin. Read pin is a active low pin, and the data enable is also the same. And finally the last signal is DT/R. So this signal shows the processor is receiving data. So basically this signal is active low signal. So that is the concept of read cycle timing diagram. And coming to write cycle timing diagram, it is almost same except some signals. For example, there are two differences. The one is write signal and another one is DT/R, that is nothing but as data transmit or receive. So as we discussed before the read cycle timing diagram, the ALE is enabled during T1 clock cycle. During T1 clock cycle the addresses are valid. During T2, T3, T4 the status and data are valid. And here at the right is also an active low pin. This write signal is activated in the T2 clock cycle and end at the T4 clock cycle. The last signal shows the processor sends out data, and it is a active high signal. So next is bus request and bus grant timings. At first the clock signal is there, and next is hold. So hold is basically it is a request signal. When the hold line goes high, it indicates to the processor that another master is requesting the bus access. See, the hold signal is always activated at the rising edge of T2 clock cycle. That is what rising edge. And after receiving the hold request, the processor, that is the 8086 processor, issues the hold acknowledge signal on HLDA pin in the middle of the next clock cycle after completing the current bus cycle. So the HLDA is activated after the hold requesting is given to the microprocessor. It takes some clock cycles. After that the 86 microprocessor will give the bus access to the peripheral devices or IO devices. So this is the concept of this hold and HLDA. Hold is nothing but as hold signal, HLDA is nothing but as hold acknowledgement signal. So that's all about the minimum mode configuration. So overall the two key points. So when the minimum/maximum pin is connected to the power supply, it will act as minimum mode configuration. In minimum mode configuration there is only one processor, that is 8086 microprocessor. Thank you.